Hello, and welcome to our webinar series, Know Your Top Colleges. A little bit about us. ReachIvy is a premium education and careers advisory. Over the past 7 years, we've established a strong presence amongst distinguished leaders in the education space. We have successful admits across schools globally, from INSEAD and LSE to Harvard, Columbia, Stanford, and we've been featured across publications from Business World, Economic Times, Education World, and more. About me, I'm Aparna Maroo Jain. I'm a senior counselor with ReachIvy. I went to the London School of Economics for my undergrad degree and qualified as a chartered accountant with the Institute in England and Wales. With us today, we've got Michael Cuneo, who is the Assistant Director of Admissions at Johns Hopkins. Michael, it's such a pleasure to have you with us again.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Michael, will you tell us a little bit about yourself and the school as well, please?
So I'm, as you said, the Assistant Director of Admissions at Johns Hopkins University Carey Business School. We are a graduate business school, so all our business degrees are in our master's level. I primarily work with international applicants to the global MBA. That's our full-time MBA program. But as I'm doing events such as this and traveling around the world, I'm of course representing all the various degrees we have at Carey Business School. We have degrees in finance, marketing, real estate, business analytics, information systems, healthcare management, and many of those are also concentrations in the global MBA as well.
Okay, thank you. And can you tell us a little bit about the background of the school in terms of history and the mission and stuff like that?
Sure. So we are the youngest school at Johns Hopkins. Johns Hopkins is over 100 years old, about 150 years old, and it's been doing business education for about that long. But Carey Business School, as a standalone named business school, was founded separately in Johns Hopkins in 2007. So in 2010, that's when we had our first full-time program, the Global MBA. And then we brought on all those master's degrees as full-time programs. So we do have MBAs and master's degrees in finance and real estate going back quite a long time, but it wasn't until 2010 that those full-time programs actually started as Carey Business School degrees. So our motto is doing business with humanity in mind, and that ties in with Hopkins' mission of doing research that's based in improving the condition of society and the condition of humanity. Hopkins is the United States' oldest research university, and its mission has always tied in with improving society.
Okay, so there's actually been a lot achieved in such a short span of time. And, there is a lot of curiosity about the MBA program in particular. So can you tell us a little bit about the key features, what the curriculum style is, and if there's just really a degree overview?
Sure. So it's a 2-year MBA program. It is cohort based. So that means during the first year, our class is divided into cohorts, and you go through that first year with a small, tight-knit group of students going through the same classes together. And it's not until the second year that you choose your concentration and kind of break out into those areas. And a really important part of that first year is your experiential learning. In the first year, everyone does a experiential learning project, which is like having an internship built into the program called Innovation for Humanity. It's a real life consulting project that takes place in a developing economy somewhere around the world. And it's always a project that fits in with the United Nations 17 goals for sustainable development. So it could be with any kind of organization, but it fits in with those type of goals. Then in the second year, students are required to do a second experiential learning project, but they have a choice of 3 different projects. So with the program, not only are you doing the classroom work and case studies, but you also have two built-in projects that are really like having two internships built into the program during those 2 years.
Okay, so that sounds quite intense, yet at the same time, it sounds like the learning is very experiential, as well as, you've got the best of faculty and all of that.
Absolutely.
Which leads me to my next question, which is, what is a typical day like? What is a classic day in program at the school? Describe it for us.
So if depending on which cohort you're in, you'll spend one cohort spends the mornings in classes and the other cohort spends the afternoon in classes. And no matter what cohort you're in and when you're in class, I tell students, particularly during the first year, you should be expected to be in the building during, in the very least, normal business hours. So you're talking 9 to 5, 8, more like 8 to 6, because not only will you be doing classwork, you'll be doing group work, you should be heavily involved with student organizations, you should be working with your career coaches and doing career development activities to complement what you're doing in class and to prepare you for that summer internship, to prepare you for looking for your job after you graduate. During the second year, things shift a little bit. Most of the classes for concentrations and electives will actually take place in the evenings. So your day shifts, and that's actually quite an advantage because you'll have time during the day to pursue internships in the local area or work outside of the school while you're going to school. And you have a little more flexibility in arranging your schedule during that second year in order to make that happen. Many international students take advantage of that in order to supplement their income while they're in school, and also to supplement their experiences through these additional internships while they're completing their second year.
Okay, and I'm going to ask you possibly the most commonly asked question, which is, what kind of statistics or specifics are you looking for in the incoming class in terms of perhaps, their undergraduate GPA or GMAT or work experience?
So the average GMAT is 650. Again, that's an average, but if you're looking to get a great scholarship, you want to at least get the average or above. The average GPA on a US scale is currently 3.4. We do require all international applicants who have degrees from outside of the US to have their degrees evaluated by a credential evaluation agency such as WES in order to put everything on a US scale. That way everybody's sort of on the same baseline. And our preferred minimum of work experience is 2 years. We do allow for a very small number of students into the program without post-bachelor's degree work experience, but their GMAT has to be that much higher, their GPA needs to be a bit higher, and they need to have work-like experiences in really strenuous internships while they were in bachelor's degrees. Now, all that said, we don't have educational or work background requirements. Our students come from every type of educational or work background that you can imagine. So not typical business degrees, not typical business backgrounds, not everyone is an engineer or coming from with BCom or BBA degrees. It's really everything you could imagine. There isn't, in that regard, a typical student. We're looking for people with very widely ranged backgrounds, but to have been good at what they did.
Sure. Okay, and in terms of this year's application, can you talk us through it?
It'll be like most years. We are moving to a new application system, so it might be seem a little erratic this year, but we're going to do our best. But all the elements will be the same. It's going to go live on September 10th with first deadline on November 7th and the second deadline in November or January 23rd. If you are able to apply by the first deadline, and I would Mumbai this year for the QS World MBA in November in mind. I'll be doing interviews in the morning right before the event. And the application will be, as always, it will be undergraduate or other program credentials coming to us through that course by course evaluation, your GMAT or your GRE. One recommendation, you would actually provide us with the name and contact information of the recommender, and we will reach out to them to get that recommendation for you. And they should be not academic. There'll be 2 essays, not statement of purpose, but essay prompts that you should respond to the specific essays, your resume, and if you went schools that taught exclusively in English, you can request a TOEFL waiver and not do the TOEFL, but otherwise we do require a English proficiency test like the TOEFL or IELTS, and then we will do that interview as well that I spoke of. And that's the main elements of any application.
So September 10th is not far away, so we will wait for the application.
It's not. It's once it's open.
Okay. And every year, Michael, we get students that applied on their own previously and are now applying through ReachIvy because they're very committed to your school. Any advice for students that are reapplying?
You might want to reach out to the admissions team, to the person who oversees the degree program that you're applying to. If it's the MBA, it's me. If it's one of the other degree programs, I can put you in contact with the appropriate person and find out what your weak points were ahead of time. Some things you can work on, some things you can't, like your undergraduate GPA. Obviously, that's set in stone. There's nothing you can do about that, but you can improve your essays. You can improve your GMAT or GRE score through study and prep, whether it's online or through prep classes through places like ReachIvy. And you can focus on the things that you can change and see what the deficiencies were. Obviously, if you're applying to the MBA, you have another year of work experience now. And just reach out to us. We're really happy to talk to you about your application. I would say most of the people in the past who have been rejected are people who just applied without talking to us first and didn't have a good idea of their fit with the program and their likelihood of getting into the program before applying.
Okay. And in terms of financial aid, because that is another big one, can you tell us about any financial aid available to international students that apply?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
so everyone who applies to our full-time programs is automatically being also evaluated for a merit scholarship. And those scholarships range from $10,000 up to full tuition. So it is possible to get full tuition. Primarily, that is based on your GRE or GMAT, your work experience for the MBA, and your undergraduate or other degree GPA. There are some other more minor factors that come into play, such as how unique your background is, and even little things like your essay and how well you connect with your interviewer can come into play. But those 3 kind of on paper merit things are the biggest factors. But yes, it is possible to get a full scholarship, and we realize that that's very important to most of our international students.
Okay, and in terms of careers, how does the school assist international students in particular with career guidance and placement? In addition, for those returning back to their home countries, is there any kind of support that they receive?
We have a great career team. They just did a reorganization based on industry. So we have career coaches. All the MBA students get as much, as humanly possible. Of course, there's only 24 hours in a day, time with a career coach as they need and want for advice and guidance on what they should be doing in school, what they should be doing with career development, and how they should be pursuing internships and jobs to get the career that they want when they graduate. And there's tons really almost every day of the week outside of the classroom, there's different workshops and boot camps and advisory panels, alumni panels. There's so much going on with career development to help students prepare themselves and get the kind of guidance and help and advice that they need. It's almost too much sometimes. You really have to pick and choose what's going to be best for you. Student organizations are a key part of that. Student organizations, we don't like to call them clubs because they're more serious than that. They really work in collaboration with career development in deciding who we're going to bring in for networking events, for alumni panels, which career treks we're going to go on. Career treks are where you go as a group, maybe for a weekend or a long weekend, and visit different companies in a city, maybe in the area of healthcare or the entertainment business or finance, and get your foot in the door, see what it's like to work there, meet key people in a company. So yeah, our career development is very keen on getting the best experience possible because it's very important to us. That's what business schools are most rated formally and informally on, is what happens with the students when they graduate. So of course that's keenly important to us, that you guys, when you graduate, have the best outcome possible. So obviously we put in a lot of resources, a lot of work, a lot of manpower into making sure that you're going to have the best outcome possible.
Okay, thank you for that. And I think last question, if I had to ask you to distill your wisdom into one piece of advice that you'd give students interested, in applying for this program, what would it be?
Know yourself and be honest. So when you're doing an interview and you're writing essays, don't tell us what you think we want to hear or what you think is the best fit for a business program. Like I said, we have people that come from tons of different backgrounds. So we're not looking for you to be like every other applicant. We're looking for you to be you. We're looking for you to know you and why you want to pursue a business degree, why you want to pursue it with us, and that you know what you want to get out of it. And we want you to know that well. And in a comfortable way, not in a rehearsed way. So when I interview people for the MBA, we're having a conversation. I don't want to ask questions and have you repeat memorized answers back. I want to see that you're really excited about the subject matter. And the subject matter is you and your career and how we are going to work. We, Carey Business School, are going to work with you. We're going to collaborate to make your dreams for your career happen, and how you're going to contribute to the business school and your fellow students, and everyone is going to be a good fit and be happy together.
Great, thank you for that. I think that's it. And as we have more questions come in, we're going to email them over to you so that we can get responses back directly from the horse's mouth. But thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening and addressing
Anytime.
all questions.
I appreciate it. I hope to see more applicants and more students from ReachIvy. And again, please do apply if you can by the November 7th deadline so I can interview you while I'm in Mumbai, unfortunately briefly this year, in November, December.
Okay, one question's just come in actually from somebody watching.
Sure.
And the question is there a GRE cutoff score?
There's not a cutoff, and for the GRE, we actually use a tool by ETS. ETS is the company that does the GRE, and we convert the GRE to a GMAT. So if you Google GRE to GMAT, they have a little online tool where you put in the verbal and the quant, and it gives us an idea of how you would do on the GMAT. The average for the MBA is 650. There's not a formal cutoff. What also factors in is your work experience and your undergraduate GPA. So obviously someone with 6 years of work experience could get a lower GMAT or GRE and get in than someone, say, with 3 years of work experience. So it isn't kind of like a formal number. So if you have questions, obviously reach out to me for the MBA, and I'd be happy to talk about your profile, and we can kind of go over whether I think you would get through committee based on your scores, your GPA, and your work experience.
Excellent. That's everyone watching and everyone that's going to sort of, possibly watch the recorded version. I think that's very helpful to know. So thank you so much for your time and for talking to us.
No, thanks for having me. I always appreciate being here.